Baker.
Thank you, Ricky Baker. Welcome, everyone, to Grace Street. What a great audience we have today.
Yes.
And we're so happy to have Brother Sadhu back with us today.
Thank you.
Brother Sadhu is truly one of the most outstanding prophets of our day.
Yes.
And he's been so accurate. I don't know if you all have met him yet. I hope you have, and I hope we can have him back more, because he's on the cutting edge of what God's doing.
Yes.
And God always says he's not going to do anything unless he tells his prophets. Did you know that?
That's what he says.
Brother
Yes,
Sadhu?
he does.
Yeah.
Amos 3:7, it says like that.
And so it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're amazing. When you arrived in, we have a young lady right here on the front row, and she's from Houston, Texas, Luann. Leanne, I have a Leanne back there, and you're the Luann, and Luann Garcia.
Yeah.
And she, how many people do you think you've cooked for in the last 5-10 years?
Oh gosh, I can't even think how
During
many.
the flood, I think you were cooking for millions of people, because you're just sending food out every day.
Well, you're talking about the Houston
flood.
Hurricane Harvey that came through. And Luann lost her home, everything.
Yeah.
And here she is. She came here to
Yeah.
Morningside to volunteer with her family for the week. And you are such a blessing.
Thank
Never
you.
knew when we met you that day, you know, everything you had gone through and what a blessing you are, and how you volunteer at your church to cook for
when
outreach.
a flood comes, you have to tear out all the plaster, all the walls, the wallboard, all. If it doesn't come out within hours, it molds and it ruins the house. The house is just totally ruined. And so your house, you didn't live in it while it was being torn out, but you had family or friends that let you come live?
We went from shelter to shelter, and then to sister, and then stayed with my daughter. And then in December, I said, ready or not, I said, as long as I have water and a fridge, I'm going home.
And many of our partners helped. You know, some of them are dear friends, and they helped you. And we were a part of helping rebuild your house a little bit.
Yes.
And everybody working together. We believe in teamwork.
Yes. Amen.
Makes the dream work.
Yes.
Amen. But this man sitting beside me today, Brother Sadhu, you literally saw the flood before it happened.
Yes.
Could you tell us about that?
You know, I flew from Los Angeles to Houston for 4 days of prophetic conference in the city. And I was already very burdened for what the Lord showed me was going to come to pass in California, where I saw a huge, mighty angel at the Los Angeles International Airport with a sledgehammer in his hand. And he said he's going to strike the state, and there's going to be a massive earthquake in California and in 3 other places in the U.S.
Wait a minute. Could we stop and talk about that a minute?
Yes, sir.
Because God showed me and I wrote it in a book, so I documented it, and that there was a great fault underneath Los Angeles, and that I saw the buildings fall down, and God showed me that it would be devastating. And I was in a limousine, really. I was going to the Larry King show after I'd gotten out of prison, and then I ended up, God saying to me, there's going to be a great earthquake, and he showed it to me from the car. I saw into the earth, and I saw the earth come up like, and it was going to be like atomic bomb almost hitting L.A. And my writers, not my writer, but my publishers didn't want to put it in the book. They said, you don't put stuff in the book that has it. I said, but God spoke to me. And so a few weeks after the book was out, it appeared in the front page of the L.A. newspaper. That was
the same graph.
I mean, it was what I saw in the vision.
I see.
And I saw the earth doing this, going up. And then the big banner headline about a year afterwards, after my book came out and everything. And it said, massive fault line discovered for the first time under L.A.
And like you said, Jim, you had documented it in this book right here, Prosperity and the Coming Apocalypse. And actually, I had just met you, and you let me read your manuscript on this book. And then about a year later, there was that. And Mondo was with us. We were in LA together.
Now, you understand this. You were preaching this all over the country. I remember going to those meetings with you, and you're explaining, because we had a little inside joke, because every time you did this, we knew you were explaining, and people were just looking at you like this. Just could not believe the message that you were bringing. I think you were prophetic then, you're prophetic now. In the moment for the church to hear what you wrote years ago is for this moment right now.
That's right.
But the Lord spoke to me, and then one of the major prophets, Bob Jones. I don't know if you ever met old Bob Jones.
Not met him, but I've heard about him.
You preached where he preached at
in Moravian
Falls and all. And so he came up to me afterwards and said, and I gave 31 things, and almost all of them are fulfilled now.
It really is amazing.
One of the things was that there'd be a major earthquake in Japan.
Yes.
And when, like the day or so before it happened, God spoke to me and said there was a 9.0 earthquake coming to Japan.
Okay.
And so Bob Jones told me, he said, the Japanese earthquake, this was way back when I just told all this stuff out.
This is back in 1999. Literally, you were preaching in Moravian Falls.
Yeah.
And we were going into 2000, and there Jim was giving, he was just giving what God, told him to give. And so, it sounded so weird at the time. Like, I was
it was
sitting there
so
going,
overwhelming because 9/11 was in there. And that there'd be this explosion in New York and in Washington, D.C.
And at a defense military base in D.C., which of course
defense.
we know.
But anyhow,
Pentagon.
I didn't want to go there this deep. I'm getting deeper and deeper in this thing.
Okay.
But it was like Bob Jones, he knew how, I didn't know how many things I'd said on that list. I just scribbled them down. He said there's 31 things, Jim. Oh. So I added them up, and there was 31 things. Then he said, Jim, the earthquake in Japan will be before the earthquake in Los Angeles or in California. And so the earthquake in Japan, the terrible earthquake that brought the tsunami, it was 9.0. Mondo, you remember it?
Absolutely.
I think we were sitting right here on this stage.
Yeah, you had Zach and Sasha and the crew. We were all here, and we're watching, and the news were not saying 9.0. They were below that.
No, they were saying 8.9 or something.
Yeah. And what happened is you kept going at it. No,
and my staff would correct me. They say, "Oh no, Jim, it's 8.9." I said, "No." Did you ever get something like that, and people were trying to tell you it was something else, and God had told you something else?
Yes.
And so I said, "No, it's 9.0 earthquake." God said it would be a 9.0. And within hours, they said, "We have made an error. It's not 8.9, it's 9.0. And that's a big earthquake. And that was the tsunami and all. And so I believe very strongly, I've written it in several books, that the West Coast will be inundated with earthquakes, that it's going to be beyond what anybody, and it's really a judgment of God's coming. I hope you guys will get Sadhu's videos we have today.
Right.
Because I have major sets of his teaching. I want you to study. You know, he said some shocking things today. You need to study the Word. You know, most people probably don't understand Elijah's supposed to come and be one of the witnesses, perhaps, right?
Yes.
But all of these, this is the power of the age to come, how many hours is on this one?
It's 7.5 hours on that.
7.5 hours of teaching.
Yes.
And this helps us stay on the air.
Right.
And it's going to bless the ministry, but it's going to bless your house.
Yes.
So for a $60 gift,
Yes.
then you get the art of waiting on God.
That's right. That's going to be 8 hours
That
of
must
DVD.
be hearing God then, because if you wait on God, you're going to hear God, right?
Not only hear God, see God,
Oh my.
and be translated to heaven.
Well, how many hours is in this
That's
one, Ricky?
8 hours of DVD.
8 hours.
All these are live teachings in a conference.
Oh, you know, you want to go sit at a conference for about a week with this man? We got it right here. We got several conferences here that's sending to you. We're sending his speaking here on Grace Street on this one, plus the book of Revelation teaching is included. Your book on your
Yes.
teaching on that. And it's all on video.
You know, Jim, now is the perfect time to put these DVDs in your DVD player and play them now. When you just told us these things, Brother Sadhu, it's pretty mind-boggling. And when you just talked about the rebuilding, the second thing, the rebuilding of the temple, I don't know if how many of you have been to the Temple Institute in Jerusalem, but we've been there. We went through the whole teaching. We saw. Remember, Ricky, Mondo, you were with that? We were all there. It's all, everything, they have everything ready. Everything's ready to rebuild the temple.
It can be built so fast, and who's the best and the fastest builder in America?
Donald J.
They all said
Trump.
Donald Trump. Now, we talked on our show yesterday about what you think is going to happen in America, and you were shocking. That was a lot of shocking things. And I want to talk about what do you see prophetically for America a little bit. We talked about it yesterday, but we didn't talk about all of it. But is California due for what they always call the big one?
You know, as you are talking about earthquakes, I heard the Holy Spirit say this. The next earthquake that will strike California will make the 1906 San Francisco earthquake look like child's play.
Wow.
Oh my. We know it's coming, don't we?
Yes.
No, this California thing, this West Coast thing, I see it as north and all the way south. I see it almost the entire East Coast, maybe even going to some in Alaska. They're being shaking in Alaska.
You are right.
Am I right?
Yes. That's how I saw hundreds of angels lining along the coast of California, even right to the top. And they all had a sledgehammer in their hands. They all have been stationed. And they are waiting. The one that I met at the Los Angeles airport was the captain overseeing that destruction. So
you saw it?
Yes, I saw him. He was the one who spoke to me.
What did he say?
That this land, this state will be devastated by a massive earthquake. At that time, I did not know anything about the San Andreas fault. I know nothing about it. So I spoke this and said that this is going to happen. A few months later, Hollywood released a movie called The San Andreas Fault.
Yes.
We saw.
We saw it.
When I saw the movie, I was shocked that the exact place where the earthquake takes place in the movie was the exact spot where the angel showed me the earthquake is going to happen. Hollywood could not reproduce in exact manner the great devastation that's going to take place.
So it is going to be great devastation.
Very great. Very great. You know, they say the 1906 San Francisco earthquake was the greatest in US history. If that is going to be like child's play, can you imagine how great and destructive this will be?
Is this devastation God's judgment?
Yes.
You got to understand, people don't talk like this. Most church people won't talk But when God says something, I trust what God says to him, because what God says to him comes to pass. That's why I have him on the show. I believe in him. I believe in the spirit within him. I sense his spirit. I believe in my special guest, Brother Sadhu. And I believe, I have seen it in the spirit. Mando, you were part of my life somewhat.
Yeah.
We were at the Dream Center. We were living at the Dream Center.
Yes, sir.
When I saw into the earth under L.A., and I saw the earth come, and then when the scientists, a year and a half later, discovered by soundings, they did soundings and gas explorations, and they put all those charts together, and for the first time, it says they saw what was lurking underneath Los Angeles. And they said it will be equal to many atomic bombs going off under Los Angeles, the city. Oh. And God spoke to me, not one building would be left standing. And so I wanted to know what God was speaking to you, because in some ways I feel like we're living on borrowed time.
Absolutely.
I feel like Donald Trump has been a respite, a peace, time of peace, a time of grace, maybe you call it, that it was time for God's people to get ready. But it will happen, and it will happen suddenly. And when it happens, it happens in minutes, in seconds, it happens. And people say, well, I'll get ready sometime, but they don't prepare. They're not ready for what's coming.
In the month of November of last year, while I was fasting and praying, the Lord appeared to me and he said, I will open doors for you to go to the US in 2018. And the main purpose is to prepare the nation for my coming. Prepare them for the judgments that are going to come. Prepare them for the end times that are going to come. And prepare them for the hard times, the times of persecution that are going to come. Because
this is for right now.
People
right now. This
ready.
Is that year, right?
Yes. That is
this
why.
This visit is one of your visits.
Yes.
To warn us.
My visit at this time, the month of July in your program, is a commission from the Lord to go to the US. So the church in the US is absolutely not ready for the end times.
The mocking of God, you can only mock God. The Bible says God's not mocked. There's mocking of God in this country.
Yes.
You have such a clear picture of this country, and God gives it to you in India.
Yes.
Why?
I think perhaps like what the scripture says, he calls a ravenous bird from the east. An ugly looking ravenous dark bird from the east to come to bring the word. This is the reason why I say very empathetically that Mr. Donald Trump is God's last respite for this nation.
Write that down.
A period of grace. A period of grace that God has extended for this nation, which he is answering the prayers of millions of Christians who have prayed over the years.
Oh God.
And now he has answered the prayer and is giving them 4 years of grace to put things right. If during these 4 years things are put right and the church is cleansed and all the false workers are all kicked out and the church is put back in its right order, then Mr. Trump will be re-elected for another 4 years.
So we could possibly not have him reelected.
Yes.
If we do so, if the church, it's up to the church then to obey.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. The church must be cleansed. The nation must be turned back to righteousness.
There are churches that are so anti-Trump and don't see that God has used him. What's going on? Is there a blindness on the church? The love of many, the Bible says, will wax cold. It's scary where we are right now. I don't think people know. I need you to warn them without fear. and warn our people, because it is going to happen, and it will happen suddenly. And things will collapse suddenly. And the people that have mocked God, judgment is coming. I mean, California right now is talking about dividing, they're dividing their own state.
That's what I just heard. Into 3.
Right.
Yes. And they say the reason is so that they can get more Democratic votes. We're in a warfare that without God, you can't win it.
Right.
That's why America has to have a revival.
Yes.
America has to have a turning back to God.
Don't go away. We'll be right back after this special message.
Mark's got some special deals to offer on our Banquet in a Bucket, our brand new food. And we don't ever mark down, put on sale. But just for today, we're going to have some specials on the Banquet in a Bucket. So if you've been wanting to order food,
and Lori, I'm super excited to be standing here with you as well as Ricky, and I guess I'm the one that gets to break the great news to everybody.
This is a great news.
Okay, what is
They're
it?
doing the Banquet in a Bucket. We just launched this about a month ago. One of the best buckets we've ever put together. The most food, the most variety, the most bonus servings. Has the innovation of coffee, as well as the cool, awesome Banquet in a Bucket recipe book.
I love
Today's offer is $165. So,
But free shipping on
with
top
free
of that.
shipping included. So unbelievable.
Now, what's the regular price on that,
The
guys?
regular price was $195.
That's right.
We just, like I said, this thing just came out.
Now, we have it on all of the offers we do just for today, the next 48 hours. We do have it on a single bucket, year for you, year for two, and time of trouble. Now, the year for you is going to be $650 plus free shipping. You're getting $100 off today.
Guess what? This is the greatest value you'll get for the food. And when I'm looking at this, what's in here, you have your vanilla pudding, chili mix, cream of chicken soup, spaghetti, marinara, mushroom rice pilaf, beef flavored onion soup, creamy wheat, morning mousse, low-fat milk. We know is the absolute best there is out there, better than any kind of milk in the world.
Yes.
Buttermilk pancakes, mashed potatoes, black bean burger, creamy potato soup, cheesy broccoli rice, sweetened banana chips, dehydrated apple slices, vegetable stew blend, pinto beans, long grain rice, the beautiful freeze-dried Colombian coffee, honey powder, and this great right here banquet recipe book that you
Wonderful
put
recipe
together.
book. And Laura, you just described 20 different options and entrees that are included in individual pouches with resealable pouches, as we showed earlier. So once I open my pouch, I can reseal it. So we talked about the 20 different items she just explained, as well as a recipe book that makes an additional 40 items, so 60 different varieties. Fantastic offer today for $165. One-time offer just for today. You guys do not pass it up. The book alone in there shows all the creative ways
It really
to make
does.
the food. I think about a month ago, we made every single item up out of that.
We sure did.
And I think we wowed everybody, not by just looking at it, but the taste of it,
Right.
the quality of it, the flavor of it.
And the way you can mix and
you
match.
could smell it. Everybody could just smell the
Oh,
food. It's absolutely fantastic.
That's why we always say we wish there was smell-o-vision so you could
Absolutely.
smell it. Taste-o-vision so you could taste it.
And there's something I can keep repeating. I'm going to keep repeating that price. I'm so fortunate that I'm the one that gets to share this deal to you guys. $165 for the banquet bucket. Has over 282 servings, plus an additional 120 bonus servings. So that's over 400 servings altogether. They are available. They're ready to ship. Discounted price only today.
Call now 1-888-988-1588 to order today's special offers. Or you can order this offer and many others online at jimbakershow.com.
do you understand what is going on? And it seems the areas that have cursed God are built on the faults.
After this revelation, and I was so troubled by it, during the 3-hour flight to Houston. And all during the journey, I was praying very much for the U.S. and for God to spare the nation even from the massive earthquake. So as soon as we landed in Houston, and we came out of the plane, and as soon as my feet touched the Houston airport, I heard clearly the voice of the Lord saying, this city will be destroyed by a massive flood. I didn't know anything about the history beyond Houston, and I was so troubled by it. I said, Lord, not again. You just gave me a terrible word in Los Angeles, and now I'm coming to Houston to hoping to bring a message of peace or good blessings, and now you are sending me to this city with a message of judgment. And so I kept it in my heart about this message. But I was pondering very much throughout the entire journey from the airport to the city.
Yes.
Why did the Lord give me this word?
Yes.
Why did the Lord spoke about this?
Yes.
And when we reached the airport that evening, together with another pastor friend from Lancaster, California, Pastor Joseph Sweet, we went out. Oh, by the way, Pastor Joseph Sweet sends his greetings to you. And he extends a very warm welcome to you to come and visit his church whenever you could.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Because that city was my city of refuge when I was being haunted by the police and by they're tearing me apart.
Yes,
I went there.
He has seen you there. So he wants you to come to their church and minister whenever you could. So that evening, when we met for dinner, he asked me a question. Did you watch the news? I said, no, I did not watch the news. That was the day the Supreme Court passed the same-sex marriage bill. And the White House was lighted up with the rainbow colors of the gay community.
Yes, I remember.
And when I heard that, my heart sank, and I knew why God gave the word that He's going to judge this nation with massive natural disasters for the wrong decisions they are making.
Did you tell anybody about what you saw, the flood in Houston?
Yes, I did, to the conference delegates in Houston.
Did they accept it?
You know, one very strange and a very sad thing that I've observed about American Christians is they are quite indifferent to warnings that God gives. They don't take it up before God in prayer. They don't fast and pray. They don't fall on their faces. They don't cry to God. They don't take hold of the horns of God. They're just like having an attitude, yes, America deserves judgment. But most Americans forget to realize one thing is when the judgment falls, even the righteous Christians will be affected.
Yes.
Like when the flood came in Houston, even many Christians lost their homes.
Well, right,
we
like
went
Luann.
there.
Exactly.
We flew in with airplanes and brought trucks and brought food. Luann was there and she was cooking our food and she saw our food. And Christians and people, was horrible, the flood. Your home was underwater, wasn't it, Luann? I mean,
4 feet.
That your house was literally had to be torn apart.
Yes.
And it's a miracle that she's back. But we saw street after street. Look at there it is. What I was going to say. That's Luann's house. I guess that's the stuff from your house.
Aww.
But there is so much debris in front of every house.
It's still hard for Luann.
That it's hard to believe in the United States of America that your city was so inundated. But this man prophesied. Did God speak to you why that storm would come to Houston?
Not exactly, but later on I've heard, and Pastor Joseph Sweet shared with me, that it is one of the abortion capital of the U.S. See, when a lot of blood is shed, the land cries out to God.
You knew that it was
Well, I knew that Houston
abortion clinic capital.
has the biggest abortion clinic in the United States of America. I've known this since the 70s, and this is the truth. Back in the 70s, even before, well, I won't go into all the politics, but let's just say if you want an abortion, you would run to Houston.
Oh.
Yes, everyone knew that. You would get to Houston to get an abortion if you couldn't get it somewhere else.
So the amount of blood